The Northport VA Medical Center is proud to contribute to the Veterans History Project, an effort of the American Folklife Center of the Library of Congress. Vivid as if they happened yesterday, the following accounts will make you laugh, cry, and remember. The stories are not a formal history of war, but a treasure trove of individual feeling and personal recollections. Through stories, we can form a personal connection with the storyteller and begin to truly know and understand the veteran's experience.
Okay. This is a Veterans Oral History Project interview with Mr. Benjamin Rosman. It is September 28th, 2006. The interview is being recorded at the Northport VA Medical Center. Hello, Mr. Rosman. You can look here if you want. For the record, okay. Let's see. Where were you before you joined the military? What were you doing?
I was working at Grumman Aircraft.
What year was that?
And I started, let me see, the war started in 41 at the 40, at the beginning of 40. Okay. 1940, I got a job over there. And
what were you doing at Grumman?
Yeah, we were putting wings together in Plant 1, because that's the only plant they had at the time. And not only that, we were making, not military aircraft, believe it or not, but Grumman made two little amphibians. One was called a G-21, which was the Goose, and a Wedgeon, and then they had a bigger one, a Goose. And they were still civilian planes. Civilian planes, you paint three colors, so it was really neat, and it was quiet down there. We were just building wings.
Wow. And
then Grumman was making their Wildcat at that time, the straight wing Wildcat, and the war sort of started out in Europe. And so the big boss, who was Jake Schwerbel, had a meeting with everybody, got everybody together in the hangar, and he said, look, we got to build a lot of airplanes. They want a lot of airplanes, and we got to do it quickly. And he was a very efficient guy. They had a big number on the wall, and he said, that's how many airplanes we made last month, which was 30. Now, it's only one a day, really.
Right.
And one a day, he says, if we can double that, next month everybody gets 5 weeks' pay. Wow, that's a good incentive. He didn't care, he's getting cost plus. So, the month is over, he comes up, everybody back together, he congratulates everybody because they did more than 30, double, they had 62 or something like that. And he gave everybody a thank you, and then he said, let's try that again. He did it 3 times in a row. Now think about this in the progression level. So when you saw Grumman on the History Channel or the Aviation Channel, it said they made more airplanes of better quality, that was important, in one factory than anybody else.
Wow. Now where were you living at the time?
Hempstead.
Hempstead. And where was the plant?
In Bethpage.
Okay. And all right, so you're working at Grumman. What happened that prompted you to join the armed forces?
Well, first place is loved airplanes. The first paycheck over to Zons Airport in Amityville took flying lessons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I got in the service, I already had 30 hours.
And what branch of the service?
Went to the Air Force.
Okay.
Yeah. And enlisted the Air Force. Went out to Upton, took the tests, and we went on our way. So then you go to classification, and then we ended up in primary flying school in Americus, Georgia. Went from there to Bainbridge, Georgia, and then into advanced in Marietta, Florida. And then you graduate, you get your wings, you get your become an officer, and then they really ask you, do you want to fly a fighter or a bomber? Well, everybody likes to fly a fighter because that makes you important. So I said I want to fly a fighter. I used to fly model airplanes over Republic Airport when I was 12, 13 years old. And that's where they made the P-47 in the first place. So I said, I want to fly a fighter. So they gave us a P-40, which is the airplane that Chenault had. that was made special for training, so they didn't have any armament or anything in it, but it was lightweight, and it flew great, and we're brand new. And after we learned how to fly that we went to Andrews Air Force Base, which was known then as Camp Springs, Maryland, because that's the address. And we learned how to fly the P-47, and then we went overseas to Italy. And then they asked us again, you want to fly a P-47, a P-51, or a P-38? I says, I can make the P-47 talk. I love this thing. This is great. I mean, it's not, every airplane has a problem, what's with it, but I knew this airplane real well, of course, P-47. So we went to the 12th Air Force, the 86th Fighter Group.
Where was that?
That was in Italy.
No, where?
We're in Italy. Grosseto, Italy. It's halfway between Rome and Pisa. Okay, and when they didn't have P-47s at that time. They were just getting them. So we just sort of hung out a little bit, and we flew down to, we had a B-25, we could fly back and forth, and then we flew us down to Naples, and we picked up new airplanes, and we flew them back.
Now what year are we talking about?
We're talking 44.
1944, okay.
In the summer of 44. And we flew them around a little bit for 2-3 days, and then said, okay, missions. And then we started to fly missions up into Italy, moved from there over to Corsica, flew from there up into the Po Valley area, which is north of the mountains and just before Switzerland. And after we took over that land, we moved into France, and then of course we moved up into Germany. So we did the whole war. So that was 112 missions that I flew.
What was the most exciting mission that you flew?
Well, they gave me a Distinguished Flying Cross when we blew up a giant train. Normally we flew a 4-plane mission, that's all we did. It wasn't like in the movies where there's 40 planes going on. 4 planes. We flew a 4 mission that looks like your fingers. And there really wasn't too many German airplanes in the sky over there doing that. The Germans chased the bombers, they didn't chase the fighters. So we're flying, we had what they call target of opportunity. The trick was no transportation, that's no trains, no trucks, no one barge on a river, okay, but not a bunch of barges, things like that. Bridges, roads, and they would give you a target, you go out. We had 2 500-pound bombs, we dropped the bombs, and we were pretty good at this. We could hit a house, when they gave us a target like that. So on this particular mission, we're flying along, usually flew around 10,000 feet, and we spot this train. This is a big train. Most trains are not this long, but this is a long train. So we said, okay, 2 guys stay up, and this other fellow and I went down. So we went side by side. Normally we went individual, but it was a big train. So we both went down like this, and we let go of the bombs. And usually when you do that, you just take a quick couple shots at what you're shooting at when you're driving the bomb. I think the traces in the machine guns, because we had 8 machine guns, hit the train before the bombs did, and the train blew up.
Oh, wow.
Well, let me tell you, it blew up. It almost blew the 2 of us out of the sky. So we come flying out of this big giant smoke, and I look, and here's the other guy doing slow rolls. I said, what is he doing? He's crazy. What are you doing there? And if you go that way, I go this way, because they're shooting at him. Okay. I catch up to him. He lost an aileron. The ailerons on the wing go up and down like this, makes the plane.
The flaps?
It was gone. It blew it right off the plane. So I catch up to him. I said, you okay? He says, I'm okay. He looks at me. He says, you okay? I said, yeah. He says, no, it's not. You're losing something. I said, what am I losing? He says, I don't know, but you're losing it. There's some kind of liquid's running out of the plane. Well, what kind of liquid we got? We got oil, we got gas. All right, that's what we got. So he says, okay, so now the other 2 guys catch up to us, and we're in peace. It's like 20 minutes back. We go back to peace. I said, go ahead, you land first, and I'm okay here. So he goes and makes an emergency landing, and I'm flying. I'm following him around as he comes around, and as I pass him and I'm going upwind, the engine stops. It just quit. Not quit, it froze up. It ran out of oil. That was oil that was moving. and the propeller just stopped like that. All right? So I just glided the thing around, and I waited till I got the runway right next to me. I dropped the wheels the last minute, put it down on the runway, and we rolled off on the end. So I get out, I look, everything looks okay. I have no idea what's wrong. Well, these crew chiefs were unbelievable people. The guys, that's my airplane. I'm flying his airplane. My name's on it, but he's his airplane. So they come and they get a tug and they tug the thing back to wherever it is. 2 days later, when I come down to fly, because I flew a different plane the next day, not to fly my plane, but the plane next to it, because whatever plane had the ammunition on it that was supposed to be for the mission, if your plane had it, you flew your own, otherwise you flew somebody. He says, "Hey Ben, look at this." He didn't say Ben, he said Lieutenant Ben. We were first name people. He says, "Let me show you what happened to the airplane." He gives me a rock from the railroad bed. When the train blew up, the rock went up.
Wow.
And there's an oil cooler, it must be about this big around, hit the oil cooler, made a hole in it. Well, oil didn't all just gush out. It ran out slowly. So I had
You're lucky.
Yeah, right. So I had enough time to get back, ruin the engine, okay? But to them, it's just something to do. In no time, they had another engine in this plane. I can't believe how fast they were. And so the two of us got a Distinguished Flying Cross for doing that. And we got a lot of air medals for just doing lots of things. We always were doing something. Because the big thing we were doing when we weren't dive bombing that kind of work, we were doing close support work. What's close support work? Whatever the front lines is, they got somebody in the Jeep with a radio. And he's getting all the messages from the ground where they're having a problem and they need air support. So on the ground, with cloth, they make a big letter. Okay, I don't know how big it is. I'm going to say it's 10 foot by 6 foot. All right? And they give you a map. And the map is like a block by a block with that letter in the middle. So now you fly up there, you call the guy, you got a target, he says, "I got a target for you." So you stay back on your side of the line and you make a couple circles, you see the letter, and you say, "Okay, what do you got?" So he'll give you the letter of the space that the target's in and which corner it is and what it is. Okay? So now two of us, because the other two stayed up there, went out and bombed it. So in most cases it was a house. And the reason it was a house is because in Italy nobody has wood. So the houses are made out of stone. The Germans were taking a tank. They would drive it into the house where the gun stuck out the other side. Wow. And now they had protection for the tank. So other tanks are shooting at them and only hitting the stones, they're not hitting the tank. But we're from the top and we got heavier artillery. So that was the target. So after we hit we go, either one or the other, always got it. Then we go up and the other guys get another target and they go, and that's what you do. Then now you're strafing, see? So now they give you a place to go strafe.
And strafing, what is strafing?
Well, strafing is where you go down, incidentally you're only flying about as high as the telephone poles. And you're shooting at, either in close support, you're shooting at targets on the ground. But normally we're shooting at trucks and trains like that. In other words,
were you ever shot back? Did anyone ever shoot?
Yeah, they were always shooting back. They're always shooting back.
So did your airplane
always got
get struck with bullets?
Yeah.
And
yeah, that was a joke in the thing. When we got back from the mission, we only had a little tent. So we'd go in the tent, and the guy would interview us, saying, "What did you do? What did you do?" Then he'd look at me and say, "Rosman, how many times did you get hit this time?"